the artificial intelligence will enhance both manager and leaders, but I don't think it will ever replace the role of project manager or leader. After you ask me in 100 years, and it's a very difficult question, because when I see that in 5 years, the rhythm of acceleration of AI and things like this are going so fast, 100 years from now, can be very, very different of what it is today. So it's a hard question to tell, but I think both project manager and leadership will be useful, but we will delegate more the hard skill to the artificial intelligence and probably do more human. And it is where it is important to develop your power skill, soft skill, to make sure that you stay relevant to the new market.
Hello, my name is 𝐊𝐿𝐲, your host. I had an incredible conversation with Monsieur Aurelien Mangano. He built his career in the Fortune 500 corporate world, spending over a decade at Schlumberger, where he led enterprise-wide digital transformation initiatives as Director of Productivity and Automation. During this time, he delivered significant operational savings while managing distributed teams across multiple business functions and geographies. His corporate experience revealed a critical gap. Most high performing managers struggle when promoted to leadership roles because they've never been taught how to transition from controlling tasks to inspiring people. This insight led Aurelien to create Develop Up Leaders and became a Forbes Coaches Council member, specializing in executive transformation. He developed the proprietary Leadership Maturity Matrix, the first assessment tool that reveals exactly where executives are stuck between management authority and leadership influence. Through his 5 pillars framework, Aurelien guides C-suite leaders through the fundamental shifts from management mindset to leadership mindset, helping them inspire organizational vision rather than simply optimize execution. His expertise bridges the practical realities of corporate leadership with the transformational skills needed to drive authentic influence and strategic impact. Who is Aurelien Mangano by Aurelien himself? Welcome to the show. Thank you, my friend.
Thank you very much, Carlos, and very good introduction. Thank you for this. So who is Aurelien? Aurelien is French, as you can hear it already. I came in 2012 in USA, but I live all my life in France. I was never really speaking well English until I was 24 because I have dyslexia. I was also, when I born, after a week, I have some trouble. I have the 𝐊𝐞𝐲. I don't know the name in English. That is a sickness, and my parents thought that I will die directly. From the beginning. So it seems I was a fighter from the beginning. I always wanted to go over my difficulties from the beginning, and it is something that I really use in my career also, because I started doing software engineering, and it was not really something that I was forged for it, because I love to find issues. I don't like to fix the issues by myself. So it was a little difficult for me. And when I started to be more manager and empowering others, it was something that I was preferring. I grew until being a director of a digital transformation in Fortune 500, and the COVID-19 hit, and I decided to leave my company because I was in oil and gas, and I decided to tell it was not the best time to be in oil and gas. So I went out, I went to renewable, and in parallel, I started my business of executive coaching. And from there, I love to do this. This is who I am now, an executive coach that help leader to pass from the management to the leadership mindset.
Awesome. Such a humble human being. I mean, that's one thing I have to say. It's one of the things that it struck me in a very positive way when I meet you first time the cultural architects group at Forbes. That you have such a great heart, so humane, and you listen to everybody. You never cut people in the conversations, never interrupt people. You're so kind, and you create such a beautiful environment around you. I'm not sure people have told you, but you just like it's so easy to be comfortable with you because you make people feel at ease. So really, thank you for this, and really appreciate your giving up your time to be with us and share your stories and your wisdom. So thank you for this. So let's go to straight point. What is the main topic of today, right? We are going to talk about management and leadership. So in your experience, what is the major difference between management and leadership, and why this difference is so important in the day-by-day operations of a corporation?
Yeah. And before giving the definition and what it is, I just want to tell both are important because we see a lot in social media and things like this that you need to be a leader, you need to do this, but both are important. Management is essential and leadership is essential. So management is more controlling the environment to make sure that you execute according to the plan. This is what we name in most of the organization in project management, controlling the cost, time, and budget, making sure that everything is executed as expected at any level of the organization. And I see when you arrive at the level of a director, your role is less of controlling all this, but more of inspiring others to build your reality. And it is exactly what is leadership. Leadership is inspire others to make your vision a reality. And this is what actually I'm writing a book on this that I hope will be published beginning of 2026. And I have one person that I'm very happy that probably will write my forward. That is Lee Lambert. He is recognized as one of the founder of the PMP. So it's somebody that is well in the project management things. And he started to read and he tell me, oh, we are very aligned between our two visions. So I'm very happy to be relevant because sometimes you feel the imposter syndrome. You feel that people are, oh my God, project management is the same as leadership. And what you are telling is just an enhancement. But I really think that when I look at all the training that I had in my life, and I look at everything that is offered as leadership development, and it's a industry of $366 billion yearly, the leadership development. And most of the training are focused more on developing the skill of management, being better at management, but not so many are at helping people to really and be influential and inspirational, working on the real key skills that are in this, like emotional intelligence, be better at defining your purpose and being clear. I mean, when I read, I mean, I tried to find some statistic, and most of the statistic are a little old because we don't evaluate this that often. There is a lot of people, and I experiment it also when I work in my companies, that don't understand clearly the strategy of their company. They understand about what they are doing really in the day-to-day life. They have an idea of what is the industry, but what is the strategy and what is the vision of their executive, they cannot formulate it very clearly. And it is the reason I tell there is a big market here that I want to address and help people to really be clear on what they want to do and make it sure that they communicate it correctly.
Very important reflection. I see I don't know what's your current experience now in the market, but I see younger people getting high grade positions now, and they're feeling lost because either they have leadership or they have management, but rarely they have both, and sometimes they have none. What's your current experience on the market developing executives and leaders?
I have somebody in mind that is a very senior person. He want to be a fractional C-suite CTO, and he has really the experience for it. But his mindset is really on the project management. He is also a project manager coach, and he see very strongly his vision and hands-on. And what I see is because we were formatted where we were young, to be following the hierarchy, we are taking more time to grow and we are building more the mindset of the management. When I see the young generation like Gen Z, Gen A, they didn't have that much push to stay in a mold, and they have the opportunity to be what they want from the beginning. And I think it is one of the things that makes them better leader or better manager, because they don't expect to reach a certain maturity or seniority before really taking what they can do the best. And it is one of the things that I try also to explain with the purpose, because I work with the Kokorozashi framework. I don't know if you heard of it. It's more known as Ikigai, but Ikigai is different of Kokorozashi as a real definition of what it is. And it is understanding what you are good at, what you love, what you can be paid for, and what you value, more or less. And this new generation has tendency to be better at this, because from the beginning they look at really what I can do, and if they are not satisfied in their job today, they will go to another job as soon as possible. When we were formatted, at least by our parents, to tell we stay all our life in the same company, and we didn't have so much opportunity to think, oh, I can jump company to company and it's okay. Because for us, in our mind, it was, if I stay stable all the time in my company, I have done something great and I achieved something, and it was a little pushed by our parents in this way. Now they are looking at all the opportunity, all the things, and they see so many things coming, and especially on the artificial intelligence. And we were discussing just before a little the artificial intelligence before this podcast. Actually, this artificial intelligence make it so easy to pass from one role to the other, because you just have to know how to use your skill of human, and all the knowledge can be found from the artificial intelligence. And it is what is really the job of now, is to be able to delegate some of this part of knowing everything to an artificial intelligence, or something that have all the knowledge, and you doing the job of human and bringing the value that it's needed, or bringing all the skills that the artificial intelligence can bring you as a hard skill, and make it as a power skill of implementing as a leader.
Um, the other thing I would love to know is stories that you have from people moving from management to leadership uh, that actually were great transformations. From my own experiences coaching um, leaders
Yeah.
and executives, that can be really hard. People have, especially the elderly, or more senior folks, they are more familiar with the management style. Getting to connect to the heart, connect to the younger generations, it's a hard time. So I would love to know a little bit of your stories of successful transformation in that area.
Yeah, and I will. I mean, in my mind, I have one person that was a vice president that I work with. She was really good at managing, and she was really controlling. And you know that the most difficult in management is really managing the expectation of your stakeholder. All the rest is following the process. But the expectation is a human side that is a little more difficult to manage, and it's where you may have some issues in it. But she was really good at doing her management. She was very well recognized, but their team were not understanding very well what was the purpose, what was the role, and it was making that she has a rate, I think, of 40% of turnout in her team. So there were a lot of turnout of people. There were not so many people staying, and it was a need of retraining every time there were a new person hired. And we worked for a few months together, and we identified the reason. It was really working on the purpose and defining really what was the department piece in the big picture and working on defining this. When she was able to really define this purpose, making it clear that what they were doing was bringing this value to the company, everybody was more engaged, and they reduce from 40% to 8% of turnaround, I think, of people. And she became also more influential because the fact that she gave a purpose to her team was also improving the way she was communicating with other departments, because she knew what was the importance of her department in the big picture. So the client were understanding why they need to work with her solution. And it bring more influence, and she was invited more in the executive meeting and be more influential in it. So it was really working on understanding the clarity of what you want to do. And after we work on communication and the element like this. But for me, the first step is really understanding your purpose. And I think it is something that we take for granted because we think that we are in a company, it is clear for everybody, but it is not so often. So it is what I want to really tell executives, that we assume because it is clear in our mind that it is clear for others, but it is not always. And communication is not so easy. Just between ideation and telling the word, you have two different parts of your brain that are working, and the communication between one to the other is not making a connection that is easy. Changing to word what you think, and most of the time you realize it because you tell, oh, it doesn't sound as intelligent as I thought when you tell something, because actually it is these things that you have in your mind and you translate to word, it's not as intelligent as what you have. And after, you need to understand that in the other side of the communication, people receive billion of data every second, and they take only 11 bits per second. That means they are filtering most of the information. So even you are very clear in what you are telling, they may not listen what is important for you to be committed. So it is why it is important in the communication to have a feedback and make sure that the person understood what you told. And this part is rarely taken in account in communication. People tell, I told you, but they didn't check if the person understood what was told.
Nice. And from your experience, what are the major challenges of management and the major challenges for leadership? In other words, like you said before, both roles are important. We cannot leave one without the other. They just,
Yeah.
compose the scene in the corporate environment in a very structured way. But they have different challenges.
Yeah,
Would
and
you
I
mind to
agree.
talk a little bit about this?
Yeah, sure. And the question has actually two dimensions. The difficulty of how to implement the management, and the management, it's very difficult to do it because it's process oriented, and you want to make sure that the cost, time, and scope are always well set up. And the scope is really the most difficult, I think, because most of the time people move to the agile, no? So the time and cost are linked to the number of iterations that you do in your sprint or the way you do your project management. The most important is the scope, and the scope is very difficult to be defined correctly with people because people don't know exactly what they want. When they start to see it, they start to have more idea of what it is, and it's refined. And it is why the agile methodology help, because you do something, you start to see, and you improve along the way to make it better. But what you will realize is, as soon as you start to control somebody, they are less inspired because they feel that you are telling them what to do. So they put their brain as, I turn off, I do what I am asked to, and they don't really involve or are engaged in what they are doing. So, and it's a little like I do my supply chain and the factory chain where everybody move his bolt and make the things running correctly. You don't think anymore, you do what you are asked. And when you need to go from management, and when you are good in management, it's very difficult, and you need to start to inspire, you need to let go all this control. And what served you so much for years doesn't serve you anymore, and you need to even let it go to start to be more inspirational and bring vision and really empower your team and trust them to do the job without you having the eyes over their shoulder. And it's very difficult because you know that you were successful in management, but by doing so, you refrain your team from growing and from really be engaged in what it is. So it is probably the difficulties that people feel, and there is a lot of people that are managing at executive level because they know that management work and they never did this transition to the leadership. And when I spoke to some executive, they tell, I am good, I don't need any leadership development, because for them, they are successful at management, but they don't see the importance of empowering their team, of engaging with them and inspiring them, because they trust that their methodology of management work. And most of the training, as I told you, are focused on how to be a better manager, but rarely how to be a better inspiration or a better influencer around you. And it is one of the difficult mindset change that you have as a manager to leader, and it is what I try to help to really break this and demonstrate this. And the best example of leader, and I think nobody can deny this, will be Gandhi, because Gandhi didn't ask for anybody to follow him to do anything. He tell, we have a problem with salt road or something like this, and we need to break this. So he start to make a walk to Goa, I think it was, or I don't remember which city, and everybody start to gather with him just because he was inspirational. He didn't ask to do it or control. In the opposite, I see somebody very inspirational and in the same time very management, and it is Elon Musk, because Elon Musk, that you like it or not, is somebody that is very inspirational in the fact that he tell, we will go to Mars, or we will build a car that will be electric. I mean, it was a dream a few years ago, and now you see cars everywhere in this way. Going to Mars is still a dream, but he really believe in it. But in the same time, his way of managing is very micromanager and very difficult to work with, according to the feedback that you have when you speak with people that work with him. After, I never work in his company, so I cannot know the truth of it, but it is a person that I think doesn't know how to migrate from one to the other. He has the capacity of being a great leader, but he is not so good at managing, according to what I see, because it's a little too micromanagement, according to what I see. And in the
Great
opposite, you
examples.
have other company like Steve Jobs or Bill Gates that were really inspired by the ideas and that have a great culture, as we tell in companies, that develop and people are happy to work with them and they are inspired and not just micromanaged, according to the feedback that we have, at least. Yeah.
I was just thinking, like as you were elaborating on this, Aurelien, when we see these people with great exposure, like the big CEOs or even, you know, movement creators like Gandhi, they they had a specific proportion or they knew how to combine management and leadership. And when we think about the hierarchy in the corporations, we go up the corporate ladder. There's a different proportion on this. I mean, the first line manager in the industry and in the factory, they might have some inspirational actions, but there's essential a lot of making sure that the control is happening. And it sounds like the higher we go, the higher the abstraction level, the more leadership you might have to motivate the greater masses. I don't know. Is there any study on this? In your own experience, there's a good proportion, like I say,
So I have
operational level.
actually in my book some things that tell what should be the leadership element. I didn't found a real proportion of what should it is in real companies, but I put that when you are on the line and doing the job, you need less leadership and you are more on the task-oriented element. After, I don't tell that person that is in the bottom should not have any leadership. And actually, you should have as much leadership as you can. So we identify you to put you in the right place. And what I think we are failing in companies is that we are identifying people that could be good at leadership and we put them slowly going up. And slowly going up, they get bored of doing certain type of job and they lose the skills that they were good at. When we could put directly the right person at the right position and not tell, oh, you don't have the seniority needed to be there. If you have the skill to do something, you should be at this position. That you are 1 year in the company or 10 years in the company. I see people that are CEO just from the beginning because they have a great idea, like Mark Zuckerberg, the one of Facebook. He was the CEO of his company. He was very inspirational and everything went well. I'm pretty sure if you put him in a role of a manager, he may not be as good as he is as a leader. And it is what is the things that happen. If you are able to put the right person at the right place, you have the best return on investment. But let's come back to your question. So at the bottom, you will have probably more task-oriented work and a little leadership. And more you go up, more we will need. So the first layer, usually you have management because you want to make sure that what you execute is well done. So you need to have a management on top of the persons that are doing the things. And slowly you reduce the management to have more leadership until the level of director, I will tell. And when you arrive to the level of director or VP, you need to have strong leadership and very little management and almost none of execution or task oriented directly, because you don't want a person that is leading to do the task. It's named micromanagement when you go at this level. And it is what we want to avoid because we want to have a vision and people inspire to do this vision. And it is one of the things that is essential. And I spoke about 2-3 weeks ago with a gentleman that present in Project Management Institute. And he was speaking about methodologies that you have in Lean Six Sigma that is Oshrin, I think it's Oshrin, that help at a different level of the organization to push correctly your vision. And it's a very interesting methodology. I can share also offline this with you, Carlos, because I don't have it under the hand right now, but it's a really great methodology. And I think we should all have this mindset of everything I'm doing is aligned with which strategic vision, to make sure that we are selecting the right initiative. Because more you go down, less the vision is clear and more it's dilute. And to be better at understanding what to do is to tell what is my return on investment and what is really important for the company. And we have tendency to look at what is urgent and what my senior management tell me to do. And we are rarely telling, is it even aligned with what the company wants to do? Because sometimes we have senior leaders that have a vision of what that means, but it is not aligned with what is really needed for the company. And I had this experience when I was working in one of my company. We spent about 1 month working on a feature that was very urgent for the person and seems important when he spoke, but about 3 months after, it was never used, this feature, and we were late in the delivery of everything because this feature was developed, and at the end, this person was laid off because he was not aligned with the vision of the company and was doing something different. Yeah, it cost a lot also, this feature that we developed, but yeah.
Um, it's common to see posts or even videos of people saying like before, you should not be do this because that's a boss, and I should do this as a leader. There's always a contrast, and like we said before, we need both of them. But there's not much, at least it's not very common. What are the commonalities between the two roles? Um, if you could elaborate a little bit on what is common about being a manager and being a leader, like what are the foundational skills or core competencies that both roles require? And of course, we have a differentiation at one given moment, but I'd love to hear and learn with you from your experience what is common, what is the foundational skills that are important for both roles, leadership and managerial roles.
I will tell the main skill that you need is communication, because the communication is really the base of management. If you are not able to listen correctly, and I start with listening because it's more important than telling. Listening is essential because you need to really understand what your stakeholder want, what your team is telling you, because sometimes they alert you on something that is coming, and if you don't listen correctly, it's sometimes too late, and you burn yourself by doing this. So communication is really something that I see in all role, and even not in management, in any role, but management and leadership really need the communication as a deep root and really need to have a deeper training in this. I think we don't have enough training on communication from when we are young to learn how to listen and build really an understanding of what is expected and what you need to do. It will help you also to be clear when you tell what you want things to be done and how to inspire people. So it is really the skill that I see essential. On management, the skill that is very important is to be alert. That means always look for small elements that you would not see, because there is some I mean, when you are a manager, I think you think like a risk taker. You are always looking at what worse can happen, and you are always alert this way. And it's sometimes looking at what are the opportunity can be more important than looking at what can be going wrong. So it's one of the skills, being always alert, looking at opportunity as much as the risks as a manager, and always look at the metrics as a manager. As a leader, I will tell the skills that are needed on top of the on the communication, and it's applicable also to management, but I think it's more important to have it in leadership, is emotional intelligence. Really understanding how people are, how they react to the stress, how they make their decision. It is important because you want to have the trust of your team. And if you don't understand how they are working, what are their behavior, you will be acting in a certain way that will make it controlling. If you know how they react, you can anticipate things and make sure that you avoid the control and make it sound at least a little more like inspirational or helping people to do the right things. And it is a little where the management and the leadership overlap, is when you use the people to do something, you inspire them. So in a way, by inspiring them, you make sure that your vision is implemented. So you do management in this area when you tell them. But most of the time, being inspirational should not be in the control of what is happening, but more on trusting and empowering your team to do what they need to do. And after, there is also having the mindset of being resilient and adaptable. I see a lot of people that have ambitious ideas. And when you are ambitious and inspirational, you will have time where you will have setback. And if you are not resilient and adaptable, you will change your idea to something else. And people will not look at you as a leader because you change your mind too often. So it is really important to be resilient, adapt your vision, and really be determined on your ideas. And it's also learning when to be determined and when not to be, because sometimes being just stubborn and doing something wrong is not the right thing. And it is part of being a good leader, is to identify when to be determined and when not to be determined. I think it's one of the area also that have this mindset of adapting and growing according to this. And being very clear on the purpose, and more often as a leader, you need to have the purpose clear and making it clear to people. As a manager, you will probably use the purpose of your leader to make it clear to your team. You don't have to have so much a sense of purpose as soon as you are clear on what your leader is telling you.
But let's move on. You touched on this before, but I'd like to go deeper in this. Considering the fast-paced evolution of AI now,
hmm
in your experience, what is the future of management and what is the future of leadership? And being super radical towards the future.
Yeah.
Is there a space for managers in the future, like in 100 years? Is there a space or a place for leaders in 100 years? Back to you.
So what I will tell, project management has always been a role, and you will always have a project manager, in my opinion. The role will change a lot. As a project manager, it will change a lot. As a leader, probably less. And I will explain you why in the reason. So the project manager right now is controlling all the parameters and looking at metrics. And to do this, if you are able to implement a system that report correctly your metrics, the artificial intelligence will be able to take some decision very quickly. So the manager role will be light, and he will be able to do more projects in the same time. So before, you were doing one mega billion project, and you had to have perhaps 2 or 3 project managers to make sure that you don't miss anything. when no, you may have only one for 2 big projects that will be overviewed by the artificial intelligence and alert the project manager before something goes wrong and make sure that everything goes well. So I think the role will reduce for the project manager and he will be able to cover more projects. And I think it can be both ways. It can be we will do more projects. So we will need as many project managers as we need now because we will do more things. Or we will stay in the same capacity that we are doing right now and we will have perhaps a shrink of project manager. On the side of the leaders, I will think you don't have so much hard skill to have as a leader as soon as you understand well your business acumen, what is your industry, how it works. You as a leader don't need so much to be focused on being on the field and making all these hard skills. But what artificial intelligence can improve for you is all the tools that is on improving how you speak to people, making sure that you capture the tone of people when they speak, because sometimes some language are more feeling aggressive than some others. And for example, I will take the example of Russian or German. They are very structured, and when they speak, it may feel a very very specific, very aggressive tone for a Latin person, because in Latin we are not used to have a structure, strong language like this. And this is what I see is improving how we communicate and making sure that we detect the tone and we avoid miscommunication with artificial intelligence and improving your email. You will also, and I was discussing this a few weeks ago, how to improve also reading your email and reading all your chat, because you may speak with a lot of people and receive a lot of email. And if you spend so much time reading all your email, reading all the things, you are not focusing on doing the right things, that is inspiring your people and connecting with them. So I see artificial intelligence being very valuable at reading your email, prioritizing what you need to reply to, have auto reply to some of your chat or things like this to really update the people correctly and not focus so much on the daily tasks. So I think the artificial intelligence will enhance both manager and leaders, but I don't think it will ever replace the role of project manager or leader. After you ask me in 100 years, and it's a very difficult question, because when I see that in 5 years, the rhythm of acceleration of AI and things like this are going so fast, 100 years from now can be very, very different of what it is today. So it's a hard question to tell, but I think both project manager and leadership will be useful, but we will delegate more the hard skill to the artificial intelligence and probably do more human. And it is where it is important to develop your power skill, soft skill, to make sure that you stay relevant to the new market. And actually, I feel the risk is bigger in the education than it is really in the industry itself, because people are lazy. And having people that are lazy and knowing that you have an artificial intelligence that know everything, why will they want to learn all the things that the artificial intelligence already know? And we will have a generation, I think, coming that will be done by the fact that they will delegate everything to the robot and things like this, and not realize that they need to have all these skills that are essential for them to be able to take the right decision. And I see this just with my generation. When I was young, we were all knowing the phone number of our parents, of our family. We were all making calculation by heart and telling 5 by 5 is 25. No, when you want to do a calculation, you go to your computer or your phone, you type and you make sure that it is the right number that you think about. When you are calling somebody, you don't even know their number. You just look for their name and make sure that you you call the right person just by their name. So we are delegating more and more to the technology, and it is where the risk is really making sure that we are able to empower ourselves with artificial intelligence and not lose the knowledge that we have by delegating for somebody else.